Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 4 of my Borderlands 3 Legendary Weapon series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pestilence, which is an absolutely insane pistol, and that's not just because it's a COV weapon. The red flavor text reads, "Go forth conquering and to conquer," which means this pistol will always have the radiation element, it will have a way faster fire rate than most other COV pistols, and also it will blow up in your hand and hurt you with radiation damage if you let it overheat. So to get this beast of a pistol, we're going to need to head to the Jacob's Estate on Eden 6. Once there, we're going to have to run through a Zealot village, cross a bridge, and then we're going to find the target of opportunity enemy named Heckle. Now, one interesting thing about Heckle is when he gets to about half health, he will evolve, like most Goliaths do, into Hide. The thing about this, however, is you don't need to let Heckle turn into Hide for the Pestilence to drop. I farmed this weapon about 5 times or so now, and I had it drop from both Heckle as well as Hide, so your best bet is just to run into the area and kill Heckle as soon as he drops to the ground. Another interesting note about this farm is, because Heckle is one of Zero's targets of opportunity, Gearbox put a respawn station right outside of the fight area, and because of this, when you save and exit to farm this boss, you won't have to run through the Zealot village each and every time. You'll basically spawn right outside of where you fight the boss. On this run, I ended up getting my first Pestilence drop, and now that we have the weapon in hand, let's go and test it out on a number of enemies, just to show how powerful it can really be. So like I mentioned earlier, the Pestilence will always spawn with the radiation element. Using this chart right here from MentalMars, linked to him down there in the description, we see that the radiation element is actually one of the better elements in the game because it does 100% of its normal damage against health, and it does 50% increased damage against enemy shields while in true Vault Hunter mode. Of course, it will struggle against armored enemies, but to be honest, there really aren't that many armored enemies here in Borderlands 3, which is why the corrosive element is so much worse in this game as compared to previous games. But regardless, the radiation element is ridiculously good, and it has a couple of other extra effects. Shooting at enemies with a radiation weapon will cause them to become irradiated, which will cause them to take damage over time, and enemies who are irradiated are going to deal damage to all the other enemies that are around them. And when an irradiated enemy dies, they explode, dealing even more damage to the targets around them. So yeah, just in general, radiation is pretty freaking good in this game, and on top of that, this weapon and this particular element play perfectly into 2 of the Enforcer skills that you can earn with Guardian ranks. As you guys can see, the Combo skill will cause you to increase your weapon damage by 2% for 1 second with each shot you take, and a very fast firing weapon like this is absolutely perfect for that skill. And the Capstone skill, Hollow Point, will make enemies that are killed with a critical hit explode and deal damage to enemies around them. This essentially means that if you're killing enemies with crits while using a radiation weapon, there are going to be 2 explosions that take effect, which is definitely a lot of fun. All in all, as you guys have been seeing throughout this video, the Pestilence is an incredibly good weapon here in Borderlands 3. It has virtually no downsides outside of when you're facing enemies who have armor, and as long as you're paying attention to your overheat bar and not letting the gun blow up in your hand like I so often do, you're going to find that the gun is incredibly strong in nearly all situations. It does have quite a bit of recoil, but all of that recoil is vertical, so as long as you just pull down on your mouse or on your joysticks while you're firing, you're going to find that even though this weapon is a pistol, it feels a lot more like a submachine gun or even an assault rifle at longer ranges because it's incredibly easy to stay on target. And on top of all of that, it really isn't that hard to farm because you can kill Heckle in what seems to be maybe 15 seconds or so. It's an incredibly easy weapon to farm, even though it doesn't have the greatest drop rate. But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is episode 4 of my Borderlands 3 Legendary Weapon Guide series. Be sure to subscribe if you're new around here because I will be posting a guide for every single legendary gun in the game, along with a ton of other kinds of Borderlands 3 content. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving it a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.